Still going to give a shout out to the good folks over at Siser because they were the ones who introduced all of us to this new process. I'll say all of us, maybe it was just me, to this new process of sublimating on glitter HTV. Well, some of you asked, can you do this without the glittery effect? Some people even said, can you use the HTVRONT for dark fabrics? And I said, yes, I finally had time to give it a try. This is what I made. And yes, I love it. It is absolutely not perfect. There is a line, like a white line right there. I'm not sure why. Maybe the calibration is off on my Cricut. But at any rate, I'm going to show you the full process. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's tutorial, we are taking our notes and just transferring them over without the glittery effect. I'm still going to follow those same processes. However, I'm just going to use this HTVRONT for dark fabric instead of the glitter vinyl so we can get the same effect without the glitter. At the end of this video, if you find it helpful, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The materials I'm using for this tutorial include my Cricut Maker, HTVRONT Sublimation HTV for dark fabric. I'm using a green standard grip mat, A-Sub sublimation paper in the 8.5 by 14 size. I'll use some Cricut heat resistant tape, and the ink that's in my printer is Hippo sublimation ink. You will need sublimation ink in order for this process. My printer is an Epson EcoTank 2760, and I'll be using that heat press back there as the StarCraft. It's the 16 by 20 auto open wallet press that I purchased from Heat Transfer Warehouse. This shirt is a Gildan 100% heavy cotton shirt, and this is the image. I'm using the same bundle that I used when I did this process with the glitter HTV. Okay, so the only difference in this tutorial and the first tutorial is I'm exchanging the glitter vinyl for the sublimation HTV for dark fabric. Now let's head over to the computer so that we can go into Cricut Design Space. So if you saw my previous tutorial where I used the headphones from this bundle that came from Creative Fabrica, I'm just using a different image from that same bundle. Let me show you the previous one just quickly so we can be on the same page. The first time I did this tutorial, I used these headphones right here. This time I'm just going to use this disco ball. And what I've done is I brought it in and I resized it as big as I could get it without having an error over here in Cricut Design Space in my layers panel. So right now I can see that I have an error and it says the image is too large. Even though my paper is sized at 8.5 by 14, I'm going to click auto resize and it brings my image down to 7.4 in width by 7.6 in height, which is fine. The next thing I did was I typed Disco Fever because that's just what this made me think of. This font is called Peachy, and I believe I downloaded this from Creative Fabrica. This font, this bundle, and this font will be linked below the video wherever I downloaded it from. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and click Make. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to click Continue and send this to my printer. I'm sending this to my Epson EcoTank 2760 series printer. If you have an Epson EcoTank also, it will print up to 8.5 by 14. So I'm going up here and I'm turning the add bleed off, and I will use system dialog. I'm going to click print. These are my printer settings for my 8.5 by 14 sublimation mirrored. Remember to mirror your image in your printer settings. Everything I'll do from here will be back on the camera. While my image is printing, I have a sheet of parchment paper on the platen, and my heat press is heating up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I have my package of Sublimation HTV, and I have removed one sheet from the package. What I'm going to do now is remove the Sublimation HTV from the backing. In all honesty, removing the Sublimation HTV from the backing was not as easy as I thought it would be, but pay attention to what it looks like as you're removing it, because the part of the Sublimation HTV that is facing the backing will be face up on the heat press. That is the side that you will place the sublimated image on. So what I'm doing is just carefully peeling this back. It was a little bit rough. I know it's hard to tell from this video, but it did take me a while to peel it away from the backing. Once you get the Sublimation HTV removed from the backing, be careful to place it face up on your heat press. In my opinion, both sides of the Sublimation HTV feel the same. So you want to make sure that you're placing the side that was attached to the backing face up. Now let me grab my image from the printer. I have the printed image from the printer, and what I'm going to do is cut away the excess paper that I don't need. And after I cut away the excess paper, I'm going to be careful about where I place the sublimated image on the HTVRONT Sublimation for Dark Fabric. I want to make sure that I align it with the top left corner of the Sublimation HTV. And the only reason this will matter is because I really want to give my Cricut a fighting chance of finding those registration lines and being able to cut this when it's time. But what I'll do first is tape the image down, but pay attention to where I have my image placed on the Sublimation HTV. It's aligned to the top left corner. Okay, so I have the parchment paper, then I have the Sublimation HTV, then I have the sublimated image, and now I'm going to put parchment paper on top of that, and then butcher paper. All right, let's see what we have. Let's see how it turned out. This is always my favorite part. Okay, let's see. It's hot. It's super hot. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Look at this image. Oh my goodness. Now what I'm going to do is use that backing and put it back on the backing so I can get this cut with my Cricut. I am shook. Okay, so I have my printed image, and I'm going to, it has cooled down, so it's not hot anymore. I am going to carefully remove it from the parchment paper. I am very impressed with how that image transferred to this. Okay, so now I'm going to put this back on the backing that it came from. It's sticky, so I'm going to put it on the sticky side, and I'll place it down on the on a mat so I can get it cut with my Cricut. Okay, the image is pretty flat. All right, now let's get our Cricut, and I am going to insert this into the machine, and I'm going to let my Cricut cut this. I'm using the everyday iron-on setting. And let's see. Let's use the everyday iron-on setting. Just use default pressure. And remember, my image is not mirrored. This is not mirrored right here. It was mirrored in my printer settings, but not mirrored right here. I'm going to click the flashing C and let my Cricut cut this out. And we shall see how this goes. All right, before removing this from the mat, I am going to just double check that it cut. This one had a rough cut, just like the headphones did, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, it cut. All right, so now we are ready to go back over to the heat press and get this pressed on the shirt. We are back at the heat press. I have already done a quick 5-second pre-press on my shirt, and I have a crease down the middle. I have my disco ball image is still on the backing, and I'm not going to remove it just yet because I still need to weed the vinyl with from the letters, the disco fever that was a part of the file that I created inside of Cricut Design Space. I'll go ahead and weed that, and since it's glitter vinyl, I'll press this pretty much at the same time. So now what I'm going to do is remove the disco ball from the backing, and just like it was hard to remove the initial piece of Sublimation HTV, this was kind of hard too. I was kind of worried about ripping it, and I'm not sure if I should have been, because it was very, very, very well attached to that backing. Once I finally got the disco ball removed from the backing, my goal was to just place it on the shirt and hope it would lie flat so that I could press it, but unfortunately it kept curling. So then I thought, well, maybe I can just add some heat to the shirt and that would help kind of stop it from rolling up, but unfortunately that did not help. So I resorted to adding some heat resistant tape to keep the disco ball in place. I used enough tape to secure the disco ball to my shirt, and I knew I needed to add butcher paper because this is still a sublimated image and I didn't want any of the ink to get on my heat press. I pressed this on 311 degrees for 15 seconds, and now it's time for my favorite part again, which is the reveal. So let's look at this. You already know I'm going to say I love it. I can look at this and tell I love it, but of course I wanted to make sure that it was really secure to the shirt. So I carefully removed the pieces of heat resistant tape, and I was very pleased to see that this was in fact adhered to my shirt. And if you're wondering what it feels like, I would say it feels like vinyl. It gives the same effect as glitter heat transfer vinyl without the glittery effect. So I have a nicely sublimated image on my shirt without the glitter effect, and you'll be able to see it a lot better once I have all of the tape removed and once I remove the backing from the glitter vinyl. Okay, so this is what my shirt ended up looking like, and yes, I love it. I love it, and hopefully you do too, and hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.